We are joined by attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out, usually 3 sports stories, and that's what it is today. And we start off with the Gophers sign PJ Fleck to a 1-year contract extension. You know what? Why even make it just the 1 year? Because they're never going to do, not that he's, to me, a great coach, but they're never going to get a great coach going there. The competition is just too stiff, and they're never going to have the money that it takes to be a big-time university because of all the money that these athletes can get now with NIL money. And I don't know, are they going to be able to meet, get kids there? Because there's what the NCAA is allowing schools to pay kids, but there's going to be some schools that pay so much more than what the Gophers could pay. I would think he'd be gone if he had a true opportunity to leave. I don't know how he's thought of in the college football community, but I'm guessing that there's guys that are a lot hotter and much more interesting than he is. But to these other universities, but maybe I'm wrong.
Bob. Yeah, I think that he's had his name has been rumored in some discussions for other head coaching positions in the past. That usually prompts another contract extension. I think if I'm PJ Fleck, I look at it as he likely has employment through the University of Minnesota for as long as he wants.
That's what I would think.
And in fairness, I think you're right. The Gophers are not in the same caliber of program as Michigan and Ohio State. Now we have USC in there, and they never will be. But I think the lesson was, remember years ago, we talked about this before, when they let go of Glenn Mason and they brought in Brewster, thinking that he could do better, and it was a disaster. And I think part of what the Gophers program needs to recognize is that there is a plateau to what the football program can do, and I think that PJ Fleck probably has them at that plateau. There's going to be years where they're pretty good, and they get those trophy games that they have. They're going to knock off a few of those. They may get a December 31st or a bowl game, maybe even a New Year's Day bowl game, but they're not going to contend for national championships.
Nope.
And he's done a good job here in this offseason. He signed some in-state talent where in the past we've watched those players go to other schools. I think that you talk about the NILs. I think some of that stuff, you look at what Coy Parrish has done, right? I mean, he's become he's done well with some local endorsements because he's a hometown kid doing well. And so I think that I think they've got kind of their model as to what they're going to do, and I think he's the guy that carries it out. And I think that just for Gophers fans, sit back and enjoy it. You're going to bowl games, and most of the time you're winning the bowl games.
Yeah, but these are second, third-rate bowl games, but it is what it is. So good for him.
Yeah, but if you're a winning record, pretty much you go to a bowl game.
Yeah, exactly. And so it doesn't take much to get to a bowl game.
No,
and they treat it like.
But back in the day, there were many years where they wouldn't have been bowl eligible.
No, but the whole Mason thing, he was a good coach, and he actually had them on the precipice of something good for a while. And then they blew that bowl game that I don't remember which one it was, but they had a big lead and they wound up losing. But he was a good coach, and Brewster was an absolute disaster, no question about that. And then, we'll see what happens going forward with him. Now, Byron Buxton, the lone All-Star, and you know what? You play the way you played in June, and this is going to happen.
Yep.
You're not going to get many All-Stars. You got to get one, so they got their one.
Yeah, there was some talk about Joe Ryan and Joan Duran, but they're third place in their division.
No, second now. They're 13 and a half back.
Oh, okay. Well, but they're just so streaky. They start out slow, then they get hot, then they tank again. I mean, they just are. They're not a consistent team. And so when you're sitting where they are, 13 and a half games back from the division leader, you're probably only going to get your minimum one guy. You're
6 games under 500. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't shocked by hearing that Buxton was the only one going.
No, well, you know what? My math sucks. 4 games under 500. Pardon me. Oh,
No.
they're on fire. Yeah. At least they're not Cleveland, which has lost, 10 in a row.
Right.
So
Right.
there is that. So that's a plus for them. But and they did, had a couple knocked off Tampa Bay for a couple. So we'll, who knows? It's just it's just good that the Viking season is on the precipice of starting. That's the good news.
Yes.
All right, now tell me what's going on with Caitlyn Clark and the Wolves, the Lynx owner. Excuse me.
Yeah. So this is with the
coach.
the WNBA All-Star game, and as I understand it, so Caitlyn Clark. There's two teams.
Two captains.
They're going to have. Yep, and Caitlyn Clark is captain of one team, and Napheesa Collier is the captain of the other team. So we got a Lynx player as captain of the other team. But then I think Cheryl Reeve,
she's a coach.
Lynx coach, is the coach for the team that's captained by Caitlyn Clark, and she's got her nose out of joint. Now Courtney Williams was named a All-Star reserve. So the Lynx have 2 representatives in the All-Star game. But Cheryl Reeve is kind of been out of shape because the Indiana Fever, which is like a 500 team, Caitlyn Clark's team, has 3 players going, and the Lynx only have 2. And
Oh
they're
my God.
division leader, and she's griping, saying that division leaders should have a minimum of 3. So I'm not really sure why. I mean, I'm kind of getting Cheryl Reeve is She's won some WNBA titles here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But it's getting old, the constant complaining, and this, there's always she seems to always be trying to put a chip on their shoulder.
She really and she's always, this goes back, I have not spoke to her in years, but I would talk to her often. And I had her on the show a few times, and she was the one that was fighting. Oh, we don't get any publicity. We don't get any attention from the media, blah, blah. Well, you're getting it now, and your entire league should be embarrassed with the way it's treated Caitlyn Clark. And maybe she did, but I don't recall her speaking out and saying why it's wrong that has the 9th most votes to play at guard by the players, when meantime, the reason she's the coach, the best team, the coach with the best record was paired with the player with the most fan votes, and that would mean Reeve coaching team Caitlyn Clark.
Yep.
That's why they're together, and she is coaching against her player. And what I wonder about is how much influence Cheryl Reeve will try to have on Caitlyn Clark, because tomorrow night they pick the teams where it's like a draft, and telling her to pick her player and who to take. If I'm a Caitlyn Clark, I said, nope, this is my call. Hell, if I'm Caitlyn Clark, I'm going to try to get every Connecticut player to make it even more special. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, you stock that thing with Connecticut players, you're going to have one hell of a team.
Yeah,
because there's a few of them that are Connecticut alumni that can play. No question about that.
Yeah, well, Paige Becker's made the All-Star team.
Yeah, and she's just one of them. There's other. It's ridiculous. But it is, you know what? It is what it is. And hey, the WNBA, Cheryl Reeve always wanted attention for him. They're getting it. Maybe not the way they wanted, but all right.
Yep.
Jeff, is always greatly appreciated. Attorney Jeff O'Brien, take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.